Welcome to A Simple Life. Today, I want to talk about something I've been thinking about. It's been on my mind, and it's when should you start teaching your kids how to work? Because I think it's really important to think about that, to figure out at which point are you actually teaching your kids to work. And I'd like to share my perspective on this, because my perspective is I think you should always be teaching your kids to work from as early on as you possibly can. And what do I mean by that? It's not that I think you should have your kid out there picking weeds when they're 2 years old, but I think you can be giving them life lessons as early as, 1 or 2 years old. Things that will help them and show them how to take care of themselves the rest of their life. So I'm gonna show you a little video of something that is completely natural. It's just something that happens, and it's happened to both of my daughters. Both of my daughters have fallen in love with vacuuming at a very young age. And it really came down to the fact that their mom showed them how to vacuum by just vacuuming. And then she bought them a little toy vacuum. And they proceeded to do the same thing. Now, I don't believe it was a vacuum with Colette, I think it was a broom. But either way, it was something that they were able to experience the same thing that mom had and mom did. Now, when it comes to getting a little older, well, how'd it go?
Good.
All right, what are you gonna do now, cows? Yeah. All right, we'll go get it done. See ya. You gotta love them. I mean, seriously, you gotta love them. So when I think about kids working, I'm not thinking about like child labor. I'm more thinking about the fact that I want my kids to be experiencing what I'm experiencing, the joy of getting something done, the fruit of having our labors produce something. And so I'm actually gonna come in here and we're gonna walk with the goats a little, if you don't mind. Come on, goats, come on, nah. Come on, girls. They'll follow me maybe, or maybe they won't. So when it comes to what age would I start training my boys or my girls to work or to do things? Well, I think it's patterning. I think as parents, we need to pattern. And one of the biggest issues I see nowadays is parents aren't patterning. Parents aren't teaching their kids by doing. I'm not preaching at other parents saying, hey, you're doing it wrong. I'm just saying that we all could be doing a better job. I mean, my dad didn't do a great job patterning with me. He did some of a job, but for the most part, he wanted to get his work done so he could go do something else. That meant that it wasn't always opportune. It wasn't always, I wasn't always, I got in the way is really what I'm trying to say. He had things he had to do. He was a very busy person. He was a pastor and he had a full-time job. And so for him, he showed me how to work by doing, by staying busy, by staying productive, by not sitting on the couch watching TV. Matter of fact, we didn't even have a TV. Yes, we were one of those families. We didn't have a TV. So back to what I was talking about, patterning. I see the main reason why my boys and my girls are productive is because of patterning. And so I think you start training your kids how to work as early as they start mimicking you. And I see that over and over again. We have an epidemic in this country, or in the world, I should say. It's not even this country. We have an epidemic right now in the world of young people who think their life goal, the life pursuit is to be entertained and to enjoy endless parties and fun time. And I think there's going to be a rude awakening very soon. And I really feel bad for a lot of these young people because they've been lied to. They've been told the good life is no life at all. They've been told the good life is sitting on a couch, doing whatever it is that they want to do, but it's not getting out there and producing. See, doing nothing provides no happiness, no joy. There's no accomplishment. And as humans, we really thrive on the feeling of accomplishment. When you accomplish something, it brings pride to you. So if I don't teach my children very early on to take pride in their work, and then to do work to then take pride in, I'm not teaching my children how to feel fulfilled. Instead, I'm teaching them to be entertained. And there is no accomplishment, there's no fulfillment in being entertained. It's a bit like eating cotton candy. So, would you feed your child cotton candy endlessly? No, I wouldn't do it. And so I think as parents, we are having to readjust how we think about raising kids, because in many ways, our parents gave us the good life. Maybe not my generation, but at least the generations underneath me. They were given the quote unquote good life. It was the do whatever you want to do, go skateboard all day. Eventually, you'll go to college, you'll get a job, you'll be successful, and you'll get paid a ton of money because you went to college. We are seeing now that generally, on average, if you go to college, you may make about $1 million more in your lifetime, on average. Well, that's all fine and dandy that you made $1 million more, but is that $1 million going to make you any happier? I'd argue no. I'd argue that $1 million potentially is not going to make you any happier, because I live in the country. I know a lot of really happy, well-balanced folks that probably don't make as much as the folks in the city. But I know a whole lot of folks in the city that wish they were living in the country right now. And I think patterning for your children is actually teaching them to work. Because if my boys didn't realize how important our livestock and our animals were, my boys wouldn't think it was important to come out here and to feed our pigs and to take care of our pigs. Now, I know this pasture is muddy, and I've said this in the past. That's where they're going tomorrow. The boys have already told me they're moving the pigs tomorrow, and this is where they're going to go. So they'll have good pasture tomorrow, and today they'll be in a little bit of mud. But we're, like I've said, in Pacific Northwest, and so with that comes a whole lot of mud. But it'll be fine. They'll be good. So I've been thinking about this. The other day I saw little Ceci vacuuming the house with Christine, and I couldn't help but think, man, what a beautiful thing it is to watch a little girl start to learn how to take care of a home when she's 2 years old. And I realized this is all play and joy for her right now. But for some folks, taking care of a house is absolute torture. And I'm like, why? And I realized because there's no fulfillment in it. And I'm not sure if that fulfillment comes because your parents showed you, or because you just enjoy it, or if you feel like that's your calling. But I just know that when I look around and I see a society on the brink of chaos, I mean, just look at the news, dear God. You look at that and you go, are we doing things right? There's no way this is what we were supposed to be doing. There's no way that this is how society is supposed to be functioning. So I think we have to question everything that we've been told, for the last 30 or 40 years. Because I would say that we've been lied to a lot. Now, I've gone through my whole life and I've questioned just about everything that anybody's told me. You can ask my wife, you can ask my mom, you can ask my dad, but he passed away. And they will tell you that I don't believe much of anything that anybody tells me. And it's not a foolishness thing. It's just, there are so many lies. There's so much dis, education, information, for all kinds of reasons. It's one of the reasons why when I farm, when I do things, I do a lot of experimenting. I do a lot of testing. And you know what? I go back so many times to what the Bible says and what God has put into nature and the instincts of animals. And so when people tell me I have to do things a certain way, I look at nature, and if I see nature doing it differently, I'm sorry, but I don't believe them. And when I see my 2-year-old daughter vacuuming and enjoying vacuuming with her mother, and it's a game and she is just beaming from ear to ear, I see nature. I see instincts. I see mirroring. I see a little girl who is growing up with a balanced outlook on what is expected of her and life. So, figured I'd share that with you guys today. Have a good one. Hope you enjoy. Talk to you later.